Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Deiti and I'm a knitwear designer. On this channel, I talk about knitting, my designs, and all the creative processes around my work. I also talk about Ukraine, my heritage, and many other things. I'm recording this episode primarily for my Patreon and YouTube channel members who will get a primary access. So if you'd like to stay up to date, please consider joining me on Patreon or as a member of my YouTube channel. If you're watching this at a later date, please subscribe and enjoy the episode. Hi everyone! I hope you're doing well and thank you for joining me today. We are coming to you from Haarlem. It's almost middle of April and I think spring is finally here. If you watched my previous episode, you probably know that I should be back from Camino by now, but in fact it never happened. I never started it. I had some issues with my knee and currently waiting for the results of an MRI to know exactly what's going on there. So instead of walking a long distance trail, I just chose to be smart and wait to see what's wrong with my knee before it gets worse. Otherwise, the sun is out, so you can see the room is full of this warm light, and yeah, I'm feeling much more energetic now and much more inspired. I'm wearing my new design that I will be showing you today. I showed you some yarn and swatch sneak peeks in the last episode. And this time I also have a name for it, I think. The last time it wasn't. And I called it very easily, the name for the working name for this pattern was Brusca, because I was working with Brusca yarn from Retrosaria. I showed you this one already last time, and these are the two colors that I used. And yeah, it's sort of stuck. And it felt like, why not? Yeah. Many of my patrons wrote that Brusca might not be as a word in many languages. It might mean something like abrupt and sudden and yeah, maybe not very pleasant in terms of associations that it carries with itself. But I also felt like it suited it well, first of all because of the yarn and how the yarn is. It's not super even, it's not perfect, and also because of the design itself, with this very high contrast and very rapid sleeve shaping, where you go from wide to very fitted narrow cuff. Yeah, it felt suitable on so many levels for me, so I thought, yeah, it could be a good idea. So I reached out to Rosa from Retrosaria asking if they wouldn't mind me borrowing the name for the design made in their yarns, and they agreed. So I have their permission to use the name, and I called it Brusca pullover. And now that I'm seeing myself in the camera, it does look very beautiful, if I may say so. yeah, so I'm gonna take off my sample and show you it a little bit closer, and put on another favorite, the javelin pullover. It should look nice in the sun as well. So yeah, I'll be back in just a second. So it all started with this swatch, and I think I told you last time that I wasn't sure how far apart these pattern repeats should be, if I should move them a little bit closer to each other or just keep them the way they are. So I tried pulling them together a little bit closer to have less space, but that would be very busy, I think. And now seeing the whole sweater, I also think that it is already busy, but especially in this high contrasting color combination. But having them even closer to each other, I think that would be like too much. So instead I put some stitches, like single or 2 stitches. Kati. Morcik, co ty tam robisz? Morcik, co ty tam robisz? So I put these little stitches in between the where the longer main color spans are, just to break the yarn a little bit, to make it easier to work, so you don't have very long floats, and also add a little bit of patterning there. So yeah, let me see. I started with a swatch, and when I tried it on, I felt like it would be too long as it is. So I decided to fold the beginning of it double and create this sort of folded neck. And that's what happened here on the yoke. You start with just regular as you need, top down, and then at some point you fold it double so that you have pattern here and a bit of pattern on the inside, and then you just continue going down the yoke and add the short row shaping at the bottom of the yoke, so the yoke is nice and beautiful all the way down. And yeah, that happened to the neck, and I was really happy how it looked. But I thought that in bigger sizes especially, it might be going too low down, and then it would be nice to have some ribbing on top. And also I realized that if you add short rows at the bottom of the yoke, it doesn't always give you that good of a neckline shaping as it would do if you add short rows before the yoke, so right at the top where you start. Ideally for me, I think I would do both. I would add a bit of short rows at the neckline and then add a bit of at the bottom of the yoke to have nice shaping for the sleeves and the back. So that's what I did, and I added extra ribbing, just picking up stitches from this folded edge of the yoke. I went back, and with main color only, I picked up stitches along this folded edge, and I knitted bottom up the ribbing with short row shaping. That created a very nice, quite closed neck with beautiful shaping on the back, closing my back of the neck, and yeah, gathering a bit the neckline, because I believe that in many sizes, this is size 2, but in many bigger sizes that could be an issue, especially if this folded stockinette part will stretch with time. So this is what I did with the neck. I think it's very wearable and very beautiful. Also the way the ribbing and the folded edge work together, it gives like an extra interesting part to it, and an extra texture, if you want, an extra element. And I also felt like if I just leave only color work on the yoke, it would be quite boring for me personally to knit the 2 sleeves and then the body. So I wanted to add some color work on the sleeves. And this pattern also worked beautifully on the sleeve. I turned it upside down and I worked from here, sort of. Well, you see. So it's mirroring the pattern on the yoke, and the flowers are growing smaller towards the cuff. And then it was very nice to integrate the creases into the pattern and create this beautiful sleeve shape where you have a very nice voluminous upper arm, the sleeve part, and then it goes more narrow towards the cuff, starting from your elbow. Yes, so that's what it is. I think I really like the colors. I wasn't sure about this very high contrast combination for myself, because well, yeah, I think I look nicer when there's less contrast, because my features are very calm and not so pronounced. But I actually got a perfect dress for it to match it with. I got a linen dress from Not Perfect Linen in the color that matches this sweater perfectly. And I'm super happy how they look together. And yeah, I think this is a keeper. It's not a good hair day, but who cares? So yeah, let me see. It is knit top down in the round. There is nothing complicated here except of the short rows at the bottom of the yoke, and then the stitches are picked up along the folded neck and worked bottom up in ribbing, simple 1x1 ribbing, which include a short row section. So that's the only complicated part about it, I would say, but everything is explained in the pattern, and you also have a video on how to pick up the stitches, so there should be nothing scary there. The rest is all the edges I treated with needle bind off, so it's 1x1 ribbing, but I bound off it to look like it is a tubular bind off, and you can make it as long as you like. My sweaters are usually shorter because I'm short and I'm wearing skirts and dresses, so it doesn't have to go down to my hips, but it stays at the waist level. What else? We should have the pattern out on the first week of May, that's the plan. And I'm sure Retrosaria is going to offer kits, and it will also be translated by them to Portuguese. I, on my part, will work on more translations after the release, so there will be, of course, the usual languages that I translate to available, but slightly later after the release. And yeah, that's the plan. I'm seeing lots of beautiful test knit projects on Instagram under Brusca pullover hashtag, and if you're wondering and looking for inspiration, you can go and see them for yourself. You can, if you don't want to do the ribbing and the short row thingy scares you, you can just leave it like that without the ribbing, with just the folded neck. You like this, so you can also skip this step in the beginning, and when you have the whole pullover ready, you can try it on and see if you still want to add ribbing, or that's not necessary for you. Maybe you like a lower, more open neck, and that's fine for you. For me personally, I felt like I needed some mostly I think also because of the high contrast of it, I felt like I needed this buffer between my body, my face, my neck, and the very busy yoke. So I think adding this main color ribbing created that for me, this little transition between this busy part of a sweater and my body. So that also, I think, for me improved how it looks on me. And yeah, in the end, if we spend so much time working on something, we do want it to suit us personally. So see what works for you and decide. Speaking of that, I had a very interesting talk with Yule from Woolen Twine. I might be wrong. I will correct myself if so on the screen. At the Ha Plus Ha in Cologne, the big fair trade that was the big end of March, so end of March. And we were talking about customizations and how knitters expect designers to provide customization options, and the whole the level of expectation that knitters have from their designers. And I started sewing recently. I took a course on basic techniques, and when I did my first dress, I realized that after I sewn it together, that it wasn't fitting me well at all. It was made for a much taller person, so my neck was too deep. Like really everything was too deep. I had to shorten it to the shoulder to make it fit my own body. And we are not even talking about little tweaks that like to make it like suit you perfectly, right? So it's just the way that it wasn't even made for my size. And I don't think there was a problem of the pattern. It was a problem of me not knowing how to customize for myself. And if you're sewing, you probably know your body, and you know that you're expected to know how to fit it to your own purposes, right? And you don't expect your patterns to be perfect. As much as it sounds silly, you do want them to be perfect, but in sewing, you are expected to know how to fit it to your own, right? You do design your own templates, and with experience you get the feeling that how you have to customize a certain pattern to get the result that you want. Because fabric is less flexible than knitting, so you have to be more knowledgeable there. And with knitting, you have the benefit of it being very flexible. You can block it in a certain way, you can it will stretch, so there is more movement of the fabric, which is more forgiving, but you also have to understand your body and make those little tweaks to the patterns, because it's impossible to include all the options. And honestly, the designer doesn't have to do it. You as a knitter have to get this experience and understand your own unique body, because it's simply impossible to calculate all possible variations and customization options. But it was a funny discussion, and I think there is lots of things to talk about it there, but it made me think, and I'm always happy to offer options. I find it very enjoyable to offer you more than one thing and to inspire you to think a bit more and imagine your own things. So for me, it's not a problem. I do enjoy doing it, but in general, I think it is quite a question that we should all think about. So if you're knitting, maybe think a bit about your own body and what you like, what you don't like, and then when you start knitting a project, or you read the description and decide on the construction and the next steps, think how you can adjust it to make perfect for you. So this was a very short one, and before I run out of space on my card, I'm gonna say thank you very much for watching, and I will be back very soon with some new designs that I want to share with you. Bye!